own show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, baby. To another
very cerebral Jazz Santana here with the glasses.
Yeah, today I'm wearing the glasses, man. I've been staring at the screen for 2
All right, hold on. I get to defend you against Melissa. Our man Jazz was in here early.
I was in here like at 8:15. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. He was in here early. We did some pre-planning, and then Blues running a few minutes late. We were holding, but we just decided to get started. So.
And let me tell you, that whole late again thing, I don't know where that comes from. I'm rarely ever late. Okay, I've been late a few here and there, but I'm rarely ever late. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, that I can't defend you on, but showing up
you
on
don't have
time.
to defend me. I don't need anybody to defend me on that. I'm not always late, so I'm not sure what.
I stand with Jazz. Well, maybe sit, but I'll try to stand and hope for the best.
Good, I really love DJ. That's why we love him.
I love you too. Love both you guys.
Oh man!
And I also love Miami Hurricanes victory. That's what
as Artist said. Bowl eligible, baby. We haven't played in a bowl game. We haven't played in a bowl game since De'Aaron King got injured against Oklahoma State, I think. Right?
That was a Cheez-It Bowl, wasn't it?
I forget which bowl it was, but it was after Manny's good season.
Yeah.
And then we sat out the next one when he was fired for COVID, and then we're not eligible last year. So it's been a long time coming.
No, I think it was the Cheez-It Bowl because I think Ja'Cory Harris came in and saved the day. I think.
No, Ja'Cory Harris never won a bowl.
Not Ja'Cory Harris. Who am I thinking of?
Wait, what are you talking about? The last time we went to a bowl game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Manny's second year. It was 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, a bowl game?
Yeah. Last one to a bowl game. 2000. Yeah, it was the 2000.
Yeah, De'Aaron King. It was the Orange Bowl, wasn't it?
It wasn't the Orange Bowl.
Hold on.
Okay, hold on. Manny never made the Orange Bowl.
Sorry, 2017 was the Orange Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, 2020. I think it was the Orlando Bowl, like Camping World or whatever, right?
Yeah,
where Derek blew his knee out.
Hold on.
Who were we playing then?
I think it was Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State.
It was Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that was in 2000. That's the last time we were in a bowl game. So that's something.
Wait a minute. It was a Cheez-It Bowl. Oklahoma State, December 29, 2020. Oklahoma State 37-34 victory. And yeah, okay.
Now right. As Melissa said, we fired Manny. We had like an interim staff that then couldn't. It was Likens, I think, was the interim head coach and didn't get to coach the game. And then last year, obviously, 5 wins does not get you to a bowl game.
No, it does not.
By the way, defend you again. Jazz stayed through the end of the overtime this time.
Yes, and by the way, I don't always leave early. If you knew what I've been going through this season, you'd realize why I left early a couple games. So
it was N'Kosi Perry, not Ja'Cory Harris. There we go.
You're still on that.
Corey Harris is like 15 years ago.
I know.
I was seeing like Brad Kaya, West Virginia. I'm like, what's going on here?
That was the bowl game win. Kaya, West Virginia. It's that. Then you got to go all the way back to Kirby Freeman winning MVP of the Blue Turf Bowl in Coker's last game. It's been a rough stretch. So let's not take the 6 wins.
Let's not take the 6 wins lightly.
6 wins for granted here.
I finally became I finally became a true fan again. Yeah.
But you know what? This guy, and this was on the pregame show if you saw it. So I've been to like almost every home game this year, and Jazz tailgated with us at A&M, and then every other time he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come." He never stops by. He shows up on the pregame stream with my family at my tailgate, but I'm not there. This guy.
It's so crazy because I got there like, maybe 45 minutes before game time again. And I park and I'm like, oh, we're just going to go right in. We're parked like right at the edge, which is great. That means I can just get right out. And then all of a sudden I turn around. I go, oh, look who's here. Literally 2 rows next to me is Ray and the whole crew. And your sister, I was like, oh, no, let's go. I'm logging in. I had to make a little cameo with the whole family.
All of a sudden, like, he shows up with my family. He never comes when I'm there, but, I'm not there one time. And he shows up.
Oh, man, that's so
Cap,
awesome.
Let's link up. I'll be out there. I'm still trying to figure out my plans. There's a ticket snafu, so I'm working on it. But
that's this weekend. You better work on it. Yeah, you got a couple days.
It's wheels are in motion.
Cool. That actually will be a really good game, I think, at 8 p.m. And by the way, if you guys want to know, if you guys want to hear us a little bit later, we'll have the full audio NC State preview, myself and Vish. We'll do a little bit later. It'll be on podcasts, on the podcast. And we'll do some audio as well, but that'll be full videos. So you make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you can hear the preview for NC State.
Yep, that'll be in the podcast feed. So just search 6 Rings Kane in any podcast app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You'll see it. Subscribe. You'll get that. That's Hoops right. Starts next week. Bunch of Hoops coverage will be only on that.
Absolutely. And by the way, that'll be ready tonight, right? That'll be ready tonight, right? Or
yeah, we'll roll it out. We'll probably roll it out maybe tonight, tomorrow. But yeah.
Cool. So make sure
it'll be on the feed
already.
As will all this.
Yep, as well. By the way, we got some exciting stuff. It's not only we're not only recapping UVA, which was another.
I'll tell you what, man. If you plunked down for season tickets, whether high or low, you got your money's worth this year. For damn
you
sure.
Did. Look, at the end of the day, you're still watching some pretty damn good football. You're watching the Canes are 6-2, right? It's so far. If you look back and you say, before the season started, you said that the Canes would be 6-2 right now going into the NC State game. I think every Cane fan, hindsight's 2020. I get it, but every Cane fan would be happy about it. Would be excited. They probably wouldn't have chosen the games like Clemson and Texas A&M to win, but that's why I think we're here right now, sitting at 6-2 because Miami's won some big games, some tough games. The ACC is a lot better and a lot crazier than we thought it would be. So Miami's doing really good. So we'll talk about that because the new schedule is out for the new ACC schedule. Excuse me, not necessarily the actual schedules, but who we're playing each.
Yeah, the
each
model.
Year. What is it from now to 2030? Right.
Yeah, that's what the model is for. They released a model for 12 years last year, and that lasted a year though. So
right, that could change again. Who knows?
Yeah,
these things are fluid.
Yeah, just to put it mildly. But to your point, our home games this year so far have been A&M was a great game. Bethune was Bethune. But then you got Georgia Tech, Clemson, and Virginia. Like you're getting your money's worth, man. It's the best deal in town.
And you still got Louisville left, which is obviously from the looks of it,
could be a huge game depending on how the next 2 weeks go.
Absolutely.
Well, while we have a pause in our action here, let's bring the man in himself, the legendary Larry Bluestein.
Hey guys, thanks. Sorry, had a little bit of an interview where it went a lot longer than I thought it would, but what a great win. It really, because the emotions that went through that game, you were thinking everything, and I kept thinking about DJ and our 7-5 and all that stuff.
You get so locked in on these predictions that we pull out of our asses like we know it.
I knew we were going to be here now, and it's going to be maybe completely different. Who knows? But here we are. I mean, listen, 7-5 is still a possibility, but
I mean, 1-3 could definitely happen the rest of the way.
Well, the way we're playing, it's still a possibility.
Well, it's not just the way we're playing; it's just the way the ACC, other than FSU,
right.
It's kind of a crapshoot. I mean, really, when you take a look at it, and the thing was kind of strange is we didn't need the week that we're playing NC State for what's his name to piss off Dave Dorn the way he did before the Clemson game. All he kept saying on TV was how, well, that Clemson game will be okay. NC State's a basketball school, so they got to look at their So after the game, Dorn went off on him.
Who said that?
What's the announcer's name? I'll think of it in a second. Yeah, he went off. It was a national broadcast, and he said, Clemson's having trouble, but NC State's a basketball school, and so he went off on him, and so he didn't want him to get all upset. So, and then
the interesting thing is we had Eric McLean on. Jazz and I interviewed him last week coming out of us beating Clemson. And we asked him, one of the questions we asked him was like, how does Clemson even react to, they're used to being in national championship conversations.
Sure.
They're out of the ACC even going into last weekend's game.
Sorry,
he was kind of like, could go either way. I think he had an inkling that they were on the ropes and might not respond well, and that's what happened.
Yeah, but NC State's not bad.
And
none of those schools really are left on. Even BC's having a, they're going down, and but that's the way it is. And I think when we were looking at the beginning of the year, the games that you thought that they would, you never thought they'd lose at Georgia Tech. Obviously, that's one of those
not the
games.
way they did.
No, not the way it is. And I mean, last week you got to give. I mean, I've said it all along. I thought that if you had that 19 points, you couldn't. I would be Usain Bolt running to the bank so fast, because that was nobody's gonna beat anybody in the ACC like that by 19 points. Especially,
and you look at North Carolina now lost to Georgia Tech after losing to Virginia. It's this conference.
Right.
If you screw around in these games, you're gonna find yourself in a close game at the end, and then it becomes a play here or there, which any team can make. So
well, I was cursing Tyler at halftime. I just, I said to myself, he's just got no confidence in himself. I don't care what anybody wants to say. You can't go around. He has no confidence in himself.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're gonna get. To
okay.
that.
Sorry.
No worries.
I didn't read the pre-script there.
There wasn't. We got on early for some reason. Then Jazz and I did a little pre-gaming. But anyway, we'll get to this as well, Melissa. But yes, VT is back on the schedule, which is great. I don't know why they killed that. That's as close. The ACC never admits they screw up when they blatantly do it, like Don Chaney lying on the ground with the ball in his hand. But the closest they can get to admitting they screwed up is they created a scheduling model where you had rivals, and then they created a scheduling model again the next year because they added 3 teams, and all of a sudden our rival that everyone's like, why the hell did we not have VT as a rival is back as a rival again? That's as close as you're going to get to an admission of screw up from this conference, which is oops.
All I know is I want to be Cal and Stanford's coordinator for freaking flights. Jesus. Got to come at least twice east. I know I see they got Miami on there and Louisville. And
we're at Cal next year, but we'll get to schedule later. Let's
okay.
I know, Jazz, I think we want to talk about the Virginia game,
Well, so let's kind of talk a little bit about the Virginia game, because obviously, I mean, the biggest shout out to AO who's in the chat as well. What's going on, brother? Look, at the end of the day, this is a Virginia team that had just come off of a huge win against North Carolina. Okay, where they, for all intents and purposes, dominated a little bit of that ball game. I know UNC came back and it was a little bit of a back and forth. But Virginia played a hell of a football game. So now you've got that team coming in where you thought, okay, this is a 2-5 football team. No big deal. They just came off of beating the number 10 team in the country. They came in and they showed us that they just came from the number 10 team in the country. However, obviously there was some issues, there was some situations where Miami put themselves in a tough position throughout that game. And more than not, it was on the offensive side of the ball, right? The biggest question, the biggest concern for everybody is TVD, and we'll get to that because of of his play. And Vish had to talk me off the ledge this weekend a little bit with
Jazz tested I'm gonna unplug a little bit from the Twitter and the phone during a game, and then Jazz is tweeting into my message.
I was just like, talk me off the ledge, bro, because I'm ready to go. So but before we even get to that, I think I want to talk about the positives, right? And let's start off on the offensive side of the ball. The positives is I'm going to talk to all three of you on this, okay? Miami has one of the best offensive lines in the country. Hands down, bar none. That's not even a conversation right now, okay? And that's why it's so upsetting to see what TVD is doing sometimes. Again, I digress. I'm sorry. But the point is, again, you were without Henry Parrish for most of the game, which I don't know. It was so weird to see him in some situation. I was kind of weirded out by what was happening there. I know AJ Allen played a little, it was.
I mean, what AJ Allen did was summarize Miami football the last 20 years. Leaps over a defender, gets it in the end zone. He got injured on that play.
Yeah, I know.
He pulled it. No, that's Miami football. You have this glorious play to he's injured.
Right.
You can't have nice things around here. And that was just that's like the most Miami thing that could happen.
But you got to give credit to Mark Fletcher, right? Obviously, game-winning touchdown in overtime. Did an excellent job there. But let's just call it what it is, guys. I mean, this offensive line, led by Matt Lee and Javion Cohen and Inez Cooper, and then the guys outside. But that interior line, they won a whole bunch of honors and a whole bunch of awards this weekend. But we're talking about something we haven't seen here in a little bit, right? And that's total dominance on the offensive line. You're talking about giving the quarterback time. You're talking about, I know it seems like we didn't run that well. We didn't run the ball that well. But at the end of the day, I think that, the game plan was something that didn't call for, certain situations where we were running. I don't know. It was kind of a weird thing that was going on. But at the end of the day, when we had to turn it up in the trenches, we got it done. And that offensive line proved it. And so I was really excited to see, that and also the running backs really run the ball hard. And I love that. So that's a positive. I kind of want to get your take, guys, on the offensive line play, the running backs, and that kind of stuff before we get into the negative. We'll start with you, Vish.
Yeah, no, the offensive line was outstanding, and thank God we have all this running back depth because, I don't think Parrish was really fit for this game. They gave him a few carries; he looked terrible, like he wasn't ready to run. And not any knock on him; he's proven over time he's a really good back for us. But I just think he was not 100%. I think he got forced into the game a little bit when AJ Allen got hurt. They're like, we're out of running backs,
right?
But look at the depth we have because we're down Chaney, we're down Allen, we're down Parrish, and we got Fletcher running in the winning touchdown in overtime. It's just, man, we needed all that depth in this game. So shout out to the running back room too. Everyone stays ready. 1 week you're out injured. Fletcher's been out. Right. He comes up ready to play in this game, and if without him, we were dead. So just that whole running back room, the coaching, all of that, keeping everyone ready. We don't have to situationally sub either. He's a freshman that can pick up the blitz. Normally you have to pull freshmen out of the game in pass situations. We don't have to do that with them. So just kudos to the running backs as well. And they've all had to step up at times this year because we've had so many injuries, and they've all had to make plays, and they've pretty much done it consistently. So that is it. And just another quick update on the injury front, then I'll pass it to Blue for his thoughts there. Looks like Parrish and Chaney are going to be okay this week. That came out of the press conference. If you want to believe what comes out of the press conference, we'll iffy on that to begin with. And then,
from what I hear, this week we're going to be completely loaded in the backfield. So
because it looks like Citizen is also 100%. Although I can't imagine he gets
to carry this injury. That's good that he.
But I will say he was fully dressed out in the last game, and he was definitely one more injury from deputizing his college career in overtime of an ACC game because. We need someone to hand the ball to, but yeah, it looks like we're getting some health there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so I think the running backs are going to be good. Blue, what's your take on what you saw that impressed you from that offensive line, the running backs, especially in overtime, but just throughout the ballgame?
No, as you mentioned, they have top 5 offensive line right now in the country. There's no getting around it. I mean, they really do a great job, and It's going to be tough to convince me that Miami doesn't have another Lou Groza award-winning kicker, because everybody in the post-game conference, everybody from Mario to DVD or TVD, and everybody that got upset, it wasn't for Borregales. We don't win this game. It's not even up for discussion. We don't win this game. He's turned into the best kicker in the country. And I think that a lot of people didn't talk about that. He's so automatic.
Blue. And to your point, these were bombs. These were long kicks. Like, this was not settling for field goals. This was us barely getting into field goal range. That's not field goal range for most kickers, and him knocking them right down the middle every time.
Yeah, and Vish, come on. I mean, you take a look at what a weapon to have. I mean, you see a guy like that, and people are talking in the post-game press conference and saying, he says, wow, man, first your brother, then you. He goes, well, I have to think right now I'm doing better than my brother did. And it was funny because everybody kind of laughed. But he's 100% right. And isn't it ironic? It came down to the second year in a row. Vish was up in Charlottesville last year when it was the Miami connection of Will Bettridge and Borregales that fought the game out. And they did it again this year. I mean, both of them were pretty automatic, but my only thought was that it's not a secret, but TVD's regressed. He really is. He's got no confidence in himself. And that's, I watch him and I'm thinking, oh man, I mean, you're a veteran of this club and you need to, you need that light to shine off of you and not off of everybody else. But, they ran the ball as well as they could. They keep going tackle to tackle. They won't go outside. I think the most innovative thing that they did was put Ray back there with Burchard, because I love Restrepo, but he'll get 20 yards for you. Both of those guys got a chance to just blow the game wide open. So I like that. I think the special teams have really shined over the last couple of weeks. So, and that's important. And because moving forward, every game is going to be like this. It really will. I mean, you could say, oh, no. But yeah, it will. I mean, you could see it. I don't think Miami has the capability of pulling away by 2 and 3 touchdowns. Not right now. I mean, they just, as you said, banged up running game. Great offensive line, but that's good. But you got to have some people behind them. And that being said, I never once said take him out and put in a second-string quarterback, because you'll really lose it.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna have that discussion in a second. I think DVD segment coming up, and it's already leaking to the chat too. But we'll pivot to that, DJ. I don't know if you have thoughts on the offense,
but that's my thought on that.
But we're trying to start with a little positive lens before you pivot to
I tried.
Quarterback. DJ, I don't know if you have.
We're not talking about the bid for that for sure.
Yeah. Well, it always is a good thing when you have a strong offensive line, because it opens up, both the running game and the passing game, and it allows you to focus on schemes instead of having to worry about protection. And I know that sounds incredibly simplistic, but I watched a lot of college football this weekend, the Miami game included, and I can't tell you how many bad offensive lines I saw. Miami's was not one of them at all. No. I mean, Miami's offensive line is truly one of the best in the country. And when you look at how good Miami's line is compared to others across the country and, some of the poorer offensive lines, the Hurricanes have it really good. And, I think, like Jazz said, that's what makes, TVD's, kind of regressions or relapses so frustrating, because he has a lot of time to get the job done, and for some reason it's just not clicking right now. And I think as long as the line keeps up this level of play, the offense, in theory, should be okay. It's about the other players behind the offensive line, with the beginning lack of depth at running back due to injury and the inconsistent play of Van Dyke that may haunt this team down the road.
Yeah, I agree. I also want to give a shout out to our defense. And of course, now you're starting to see those safeties start to play like the All-Americans that they are, right? You're starting to see Cam Kitchens again, obviously with his pick six, making a great play on that read there, on that interception. But he's just all over the field.
Yeah, I think he also had 9 tackles.
9 tackles.
Like you said, he was all over the field.
Fumble too, or no? I don't know.
What did James Williams was up in the double digits, wasn't he?
James Williams, I think, had 13 tackles, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he was all over the field as well. Those guys look great. They look ready to go. Look, I know that they got their yards throwing the football. Okay, Malik Washington, we mentioned him before.
He's a beast.
He's one of the best receivers in the ACC, young kid, and they kept feeding him. I know Malachi Fields had a couple of nice catches, and some of the other guys did as well. But for the most part, it's got good receivers. I mean, I think our defensive backs held up quite nicely. Didn't let them get any super explosive plays except that one that Malik got away. But that was it. It was just kind of a missed tackle or whatnot. But
Cam went for the ball and missed it. And
then he kind of just half-assed.
And he is the safety, so if he misses it, you're effed.
So a shout out to Daryl Porter for going to catch him because and Malik has some boosters, so some jets. So my thing is. Obviously the defensive line.
Ruben Bain's like unreal.
Ruben Bain is just the most unreal player I've seen in a very long time.
3 and gone, buddy. 3 and gone.
On the inside, on the outside, he can do it all in any position that you put him at. It's unreal what he's doing. Kiko is playing lights out, especially in the run. Kiko is playing really, really well. You're starting to see some linebackers step up a little bit. Corey Flagg continues to make a name for himself.
I'm saying nothing, but just watching him, man.
No, you can't say anything about Corey Flagg anymore, okay? Just all around, great play by the defense again. The only concern is, again, Mr. Inconsistent, LT. Leonard Taylor was kind of non-existent in this game.
Well, I will say,
stepped up, but he was non-existent again.
I will say, we talked in the week leading up to this Virginia game about how the Canes could get into trouble. Virginia plays a lot of close games. Ever since they kind of settled on one quarterback, they played a lot better. Like those blowout losses earlier in the year, which are now like a month and a half old that they had, that's not the same team playing now. They kind of have a methodical way they play. They play really slow. Like that game went to overtime, was over in 3 hours. It was so quick because they just ate the clock. So the one thing you didn't want to do is come out flat, fall behind, and then have to chase the game against a team that's physical, that'll eat the clock. And that's exactly what we did. So I would say, like, a criticism of the defense is they didn't show up in the first possession. And that put us behind. Offense, even before that, we'll have the TBD discussion later, but, dropped first down pass on the first drive, just like not mentally in the game. And Dawson actually talked about this. Like, I don't know what was wrong, but we had no energy to start the game. And once you get behind a team like Virginia, like I said, they're really good. We battled. We made them earn everything. Because last year that game would have gone completely sideways. We would have checked out. But we kept fighting them. But I was not happy with their tackling. I thought we gave up a lot of yards after contact, and that allowed them to extend these drives out. Again, we did a good job of holding them to field goals and keeping their point total down. But those long drives ate the hell out of the clock. And the one time that they weren't able to do that was the pick six, where just first play of the drive, Cam jumps the route and houses it. But I thought that kind of allowed them to execute their game plan. But then towards the end of the game and in overtime, we had some stick them down tackles. Like at those money times that we had to make those stops. If you recall when they punted and everyone, I don't know if I have a Mario clock management discussion again. I think he actually made the right call this time. Yeah. But they were 5 yards from field goal range. We had to stop them, and we stopped them. And then in overtime, both those tackles by Cam and James Williams, those were ones where earlier in the game, Virginia was like stretching for an extra couple of yards, kind of stuck right where they caught the ball. And that's why they had to kick the field goal, which ultimately won the game. We scored the touchdown. So and Melissa said, Goodry called it lethargic, and Dawson said low energy. I don't know what was going on, man, because we talked all week about how we showed up lazy against Georgia Tech. We fell behind. We kind of left them in the game, and then we did the same thing again, which is kind of frustrating. That
the ball just
this time we got it. It went our way, but they outgained us by 100 yards. Like it was.
Yeah, that's because we couldn't throw the football. Here's the segue.
Oh, there we go. Look, that's why Jazz is a pro. Jazz is a pro here.
Oh my gosh.
No, but that to me was the kind of the negative on the defense. Just some of the tackling, letting them convert things that where they would have had to punt. And the one thing is, despite that one play, which was ballsy as hell, call by Elliott to go for it on that 4th down in a tie game on his side of the 50, and they converted it obviously and kicked the field goal, which we then had to go back. Other than that, he's very conservative. Like, he's not going to keep going for it in 4th and 1, 4th and 2. So some of those missed tackles are not even missed tackles, just getting dragged for a few extra yards. Like, allowed them to turn, a 3 and out into a 10-play drive, even if they're kicking a field goal or punting, just eat the clock. And that we got to do a better job getting out the field because you can segue now if you want because the offense ain't putting up 50 points. So
it's the biggest question mark, right? It's the biggest problem that Canes fans and everybody is talking about is the lackluster, to put it lightly, performance of TVD in this game. Tyler Van Dyke, and I'm gonna put it this way: he looks like there's something going on that's more than just him not playing well. Like there's something going on there with Tyler Van Dyke that we don't know about, because you can't go from playing the way you did those first 4 games of the season and regressing so badly. And I know, Vish, you and I spoke about this. This is probably the worst game that he's played. Although there's been, he threw 3 interceptions recently. He had but he also made some really nice throws. This one, there was maybe 1 or 2 throws that he made that were nice. That I think it was that in route on Kobe Young. And that corner route to X, right? Those were kind of like the plays that stand out to me. Aside from that, it was just like misread after misread. We're talking about throwing into double coverage, not only to X. Okay, let's just call it what it is, right?
He did it to everybody.
He did it to everybody. Jacoby George, Kobe Young. He did it to all of them. However, my thought process is, again, because I'm cynical this way. I think that some of those throws that he threw to Jacoby and to Kobe Young that were double covered, that were just terrible throws. I'm not even talking about the interceptions, right? Because that first interception, I know he had some other guys open, but everybody is right. X was open on that. He just underthrew it. He completely underthrew it.
It is so, like, I would say that's very distinct from what we've seen from him, which is
he does that.
A lot of his interceptions are he doesn't see the underneath defender. This thing, he just underthrew it by like 15 yards. Like
if he throws it to the pylon, it's a touchdown.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen him physically.
The other interception, however, was exactly
what you would call textbook TVD interception.
TVD throws it,
forces it into coverage with the underneath.
And look, to be honest with you, defenses know this now. Cornerbacks know this. They're going to bait him to do that. And he continues to make that mistake, if he doesn't fix that, then there's something wrong there. It's not a matter of him just, oh well, he didn't. No, man, you got to fix that, or you're going to get the hell off the field, right? Like, to me, it's a little bit more than just, oh, he's only throwing it to X. Now he's trying to make a point to say, look, I don't always throw it to X, and now he's making the wrong reads anyways, just to kind of prove a point. And that to me is textbook again of a player who is not mentally in the game, right? He's doing things that you shouldn't be doing on the football field, and that he should know not to be doing, right? So he got lucky on that throw that he threw into double coverage on that interception that they dropped. That could have been the game right there. So you got to wonder, okay? And the truth of the matter is that a lot of people are going to ask this question. I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to start with DJ on this. A lot of people are asking this question. Well, if TVD is going to continue to make these type of mistakes in a football game, what is the difference between starting him the rest of the season and seeing these turnovers, and starting a new kid, a freshman, again, in Emory Williams, right? Because obviously, we'll talk about Jakari Brown in a second, but starting Emory Williams, him potentially making these mistakes as well, and us running the same execs. Because at this point, I don't think Shannon Dawson is trusting TVD enough. And we saw it there at the end of the game as well. You've got 25, 30 seconds on the clock, an opportunity to maybe take some shots down the field and maybe get in the field goal range. At the same time, that's why it was the right move for Mario to kneel there, to take the knee and go into overtime. But you got to think: are they losing their trust in TVD to make these plays? Are we going to go conservative? And if that's the case, why not start and getting Emery in there to get some more burn? I know it's going to be tough to get him in a night game on the road against an NC State team. He's played in a night game. I know it was at home against Clemson, another tough team. But we're talking about seeing the same exact thing. You want to see the growth, and you might see him develop into something really good. At this point, I don't think you're going to ruin Emery Williams if you bring him in and start him. What's your take on what's going on with TVD right now, DJ? Do you foresee them potentially making a switch? Do you think that they should? What do you think is going on, and how much more of a leash are you going to give TVD?
I have to say the performance on Saturday was a little startling, to be honest with you, because like you guys mentioned earlier, when you look at how he performed at the beginning of the season and how he's performing right now, there's definitely some sort of regression there. It's hard to pinpoint exactly why, or not why as in what we see on the field, but we don't know what's going on in his head or anything like that. But there is something not right, going on with Van Dyke. And it's kind of interesting just to see, like again, you guys said earlier, he's supposed to be a leader of this team, and yet he is struggling, on the field to make the big plays and to be counted on right now. And I think I'm not sure if we should start Emery the rest of the way or anything like that, but I do think Emery's ceiling obviously is a little bit higher, and they can have a chance to develop him and maybe put Miami in a better position for the future than they can with Van Dyke right now. I mean, Van Dyke, he is what he is at this point. I mean, there is room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, but I mean, you look at the potential of Emery Williams versus Tyler Van Dyke's ceiling right now. There's a lot more to go and grow with in Williams than there is Van Dyke. So although it may seem a little bit crazy to kind of favor Williams over Van Dyke in some circles, I wouldn't be mad if they chose to go in that direction.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what we need to do is maybe get to some of these questions and have Blue and Vish answer them if you want on the timeline here. I know, and some of these comments, Ken T, I know, writes TVD football IQ is lacking. I don't know if you can see that there, Vish. TVD is not stepping into his throws. And then Pimp Down says, Blue, I was a big fan of TVD 2 years ago. Obviously, he won't get drafted. Do you think Miami will let him come back next year, especially after this offseason with the rumors of him transferring? I know somebody else has that question as well down here, so we can kind of get to that right away. Blue, let's say hypothetically TVD decides he wants to return again. Would he be your starting quarterback at Miami next year?
He ain't coming back. SMU is where he'll go. He ain't coming back.
Okay.
Why would you? You'll never progress. You'll never get a quarterback again. I could see them getting a portal kid for the year just to ease in and just to be there as a safety net. But you know what? It's time. Move on. Go to UConn. Go to SMU. Go somewhere where a new start. I'm not being harsh about it.
But it is what it is.
I was so angered in that first half. I mean, I didn't even eat the hamburgers. I was so angered. You know what I mean?
What? You didn't eat the hamburgers?
No, they were pretty damn dry too. But
the offense was too.
Yeah. I went in there and I was sitting there talking to Marcus Benjamin and Frank Tucker, who were up there, and I said, I cannot for the life of me believe that this guy is regressing in front of our eyes. He had no confidence in himself at all. I mean, this wasn't him earlier this year. This wasn't him last year. Yeah. I mean, last year, if he didn't have anybody, he'd throw it towards the ground. He wouldn't throw it in somebody else's hands. And they went to they targeted the tight end one time. One time. What happened to you're going to love this new offensive coordinator? Oh, 3?
3. He had 2 catches and a drop in the corner.
Oh, okay, the drop ball. Yeah. So 3 times. What happened to? The new offensive coordinator. His tight end caught 87 balls last year.
You know how I feel about that. I'm not happy about that at all.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, Elijah Arroyo got in there and had pretty much as bad of a sequence as you can have. Ball started, whiffed on a block, and got injured. So,
I mean,
not great.
I'm not trying to be, I know that how delicate the Miami fans can be sometimes because they're 6-2, but come on, let's be real.
Yeah,
I mean, Miami, in all due respect, should have won that game by 19 if you had a quarterback who had his wherewithal. This guy just doesn't have it. But I kept thinking if they pull him, they're going to lose. They may lose the team in this game. So
my thing is, with all that time that you have with that offensive line, and you're still not making the right reads, you're still not making the right checks and throwing the ball to the right place, or just throwing a bad ball, there's got to be more than just him.
No, I'm sure there's more to it, Jazz.
Also, I think so. To kind of answer some of Jazz's questions and some of what's going on in the chat, I would say that he should continue to start. Emory Williams is one more game away from burning his red shirt, and you got to really think about whether that's worth it at this point. Right. And unless TVD gets hurt again, I certainly wouldn't put Emory Williams in garbage time of a blowout at this point. Not worth burning it for that. But the other thing is, like, the players know who's better right now, and the way to lose a locker room is to put in a young player because they're young. They got to go earn the spot, and there's no way he's practicing better than TVD. He knows the playbook better. Like, the whole team knows that. We are 6-2. And it almost feels like a give up on the season if you go to the back. We're going to put the young guy in there to get experience. You're 6-2. Like, I think the season has to come off the rails before you want to do something like that. And it's actually gone the other direction, oddly, with these 2 over. It could easily be 4-4 right now if you lose those 2 overtime games. Then we're having a different discussion. But I think, look, they got to coach him. Like, this is, you know what? Throw the ball away. If no one's open, like many, as Melissa said, he's sitting in the pocket.
That's him. He's gonna have that instinct to do it, right?
Well, that's also coaching. It's okay.
Dawson can tell you so much,
but we don't
be able to do it on the field.
But at some point, he's got to be coached. Just throw the ball away, like that. That's the second interception.
Told him that though. That's my point. Like,
I don't know. He's always like he gets into trouble. Most of these, the second pick and the one that should have been picked that they dropped were all,
he's
as
trying
everyone
to do
said.
Too much.
Yeah, well, but he had a lot of time in the pocket. But if no one's coming open, because those 2 plays there wasn't really anyone open. I think that's where his leg injury. Maybe he's not comfortable doing that. Just throw the ball away, especially that second one, the one that was caught. That was 3rd and 10 or whatever. We had good field position from the kick return. Yeah. Just punt it and pin him deep. You're fine. We were ahead at that point. Instead, he forced it into coverage and gave him the field position back. I had an irritating vote. I have a voice, or I have one, because I still think it's irritating right now. So I don't know what the past tense is doing there.
Kind of irritating.
Don't be picking on us. Pick on Miami. We're
oh no, you can pick on me. I don't give a shit.
Why should he? You sound great.
Our voices are tired from streaming.
With your point,
that's what
though, Dish. I was listening to you.
Professional broadcaster here.
There you go. Dish, go on with your point.
Anyway,
he tells you that he sucks, you better listen to it.
Oh yes, I'll listen to him.
Put in his shit.
Yeah, yes, I'll listen to him.
We still love you, bro. But
but I do think if he can't run, because if you recall, one of the things he did his first year starting under Lashley is he had a lot of scramble plays. In fact, against Virginia, he had a couple of big runs in that game where Borregales, like, complete reverse of this game. TVD brought the team back and almost won, then Borregales blew it by missing a field goal at the end. It was like the opposite that game 2 years ago. And so that is so for that. I think you just got, like, make the safe play, make the smart player throw it away. And I think he's still trying to make too many plays, because the way we can run the ball, the way our offensive line is playing, I think he's still in that mentality that he has to carry the offense and he just needs to manage the game. And the mistake, like, again, the X throw, I have no issues with the interception. You got to throw a more accurate ball. If you scheme a receiver open within 5 yards of the end zone, you got to throw it there and you got to hit it.
Right.
To me, that was an arm error. Yeah. But the other ones, like, don't just eat the ball, throw it away. It's fine. Live to play another down, or even a punt.
You're experienced enough that you have to be able to know. You have to throw the ball away, like you're mentioning this, right?
I don't recall him throwing the ball away.
Get a few yards with your legs. I know
he didn't throw the ball away.
Yeah, I don't recall him throwing the ball away.
He threw the ball away, but right to them.
to the defense.
Also, go ahead, Vish.
No, that was all I was going to say.
That was a great point, though. That
was a good point.
You got to be a lot more mature. That's for damn sure.
And I'm wondering if there's certain offensive plays where, back when I used to sit in my college team's quarterback meetings, granted, we're not Miami, but still, we had something called gift reads, where if a receiver wasn't open, there would be a little bit of a safety valve, a gift receiver where a quarterback could check down and make a safe read that wouldn't, get him into trouble via an interception or whatever. And they are there. I'm just wondering why he's not making those throws.
And he's got the time, DJ. It's not like he doesn't have the time.
Absolutely. But
and that's the problem, right? You have the time. Make all your reads and then hit your check down if you don't like what you see out there.
Right. Back in our meetings, we used to always emphasize if something's not there, there's the gift read, throw it there. I'm wondering if there's a disconnect on Van Dyke's part, either not listening or not getting, what is going on in those meetings, because there was always this stress to throw to the gift if there's nothing there. And I'm wondering if there's some sort of disconnect there, because it's got to be hammered home during these meetings.
Look, everybody hears the noise, right?
Yeah.
And you got to block it out, and I just don't think he's doing a good job of doing that.
The other thing is to DJ's point, he's forcing too much. This was the first game where he also like you said, Jazz, earlier, he made the one throw to Colby on, but there were very few. And then on the last field goal drive, he dropped the ball right into X. That was a huge throw.
Right. That was the best throw of the night.
Yeah, but even against, we talked about the Georgia Tech game, he hit 2 deep balls in that game. He made a bunch of throws that you're like, all right, he's playing like crap. There's about 3 or 4 throws he made in this game that no other quarterback on the team can make. We didn't really have that against. It was all crap.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen him play that bad. Usually he's man, those 5, even against North Carolina, some of those throws he was making, especially in the first half, are Jesus.
By the way,
the thing that boggles my mind about this is you would think that Sunday and Monday that Dawson would say, hey, let's get a couple of pizzas. Me and you going to go watch all the game film. And we're going to go over every single play and what you could have done. And I'm surprised they don't do it. And now, I'm sure that people, maybe they do. Well, if they're doing it, they're not doing it right. Because if you watch an entire game and break down every single play, and Dawson said, wait, stop this. Okay, this play you threw right in the coverage. What else could you have done? And that gets it in his mind.
Right? Don't you think they're doing that? And he's just not getting
That's why I think there's some
there's a problem. There's a huge problem.
I agree. There is a problem.
There's some sort of disconnect somewhere in my
opinion. I'm just saying, Danny, DJ, I'm just saying to get those 2 guys. I don't want anybody else in that room. Just those 2 guys. I don't need the input from a second or third team quarterback. I want you 2 in that room. Just go at it, watch every clip, and say, hey, you know what? Right here, you see where you made that read right there? And look at you got to have confidence in your offensive line. We have one of the best offensive lines are providing that opportunity for you to do your progressions, which that was like a crazy word the last 2 years. Progressions. Let me just find one guy, now you could really go through your progressions. And that's why I'm saying there's no need to throw a long ball into where there's 4 other shirts that aren't yours.
Yep.
I want to answer this question really quick from Anthony Mendez.
Mm-hmm.
He just posted up here. So if TVD leaves, I'm almost sure Jakari will be transferring. So we have to go to the portal to get an experienced quarterback to battle Emory.
They will.
First of all, I don't think Jakari is leaving. I think that this red shirt is on purpose. The coaching staff in this team is red shirting Jakari. He actually wants to be red shirted. Okay, and let me explain something. It's weird to say that, but right now, if he wasn't going to be red shirted, he'd be the number 2 quarterback. Now, there's certain things that I can't explain, I can't answer because I don't know enough of, and if I knew more, I probably wouldn't say it anyways because the bottom line is Jakari Brown is being redshirted for a reason. There's something going on there with him that's, it's a specific project, I assume, that this Kings coaching staff has going on. But I'm going to be honest with you, I think that Jakari's skill set, I'm not saying he's ready for it, or a lot of people are saying, well, he can't make the throws, and but Jakari's skill set would fit perfectly for this offense right now, the way that things are going. You got to have someone with legs, someone that can get out of the pocket and run a little bit if he doesn't see anything open, right? So I think that he would be a great fit. But I know he's working on some other things, and I know they're going to redshirt him. So everybody needs to stop wondering if they're going to get Jakari in, because he's not going to play this year. There's got to have to be something monumental where Emory Williams can't play and TBD can't play for Jakari to get in.
Yeah, and they actually addressed that today, how they're trying to preserve both red shirts, with the priority is preserving Jakari's, which is why he's not going to play, like you said, unless complete emergency like the other two guys go down. So they talked about that openly today.
So that's that. I still think, Blue, I agree with you. I still think that they're either going to get another blue chip quarterback, which is going to be tough because they'd have to flip someone. There is a lot of talk and a lot of rumors out there of a couple different guys that are, being recruited heavily, 2024 kids that are recruited elsewhere, that are blue chip quarterbacks. But there's also some big time transfer portal prospects as well that I know that Blue knows a few of them. I've kind of spoken to some guys about some other ones that, as soon as they kind of start coming out a little bit, would be nice. But we'll kind of leave that for, we've got another month and a half before the transfer portal opens. I think you've got recruiting, National Signing Day coming up in about a month and a half. So you got a lot of things coming up very soon. I think Miami is keyed in on some big time names. So I definitely want to get to that. But before we get to that, let's talk about the schedule. I know we've been talking about it.
Just real quick, there's a couple of questions in the chat.
Okay.
So he does have Jakari can play 4 games, but they made it pretty clear today they don't want him to take any snaps this year. Right. I think that's.
But you're also talking about 4 games plus a bowl game, remember? So that would be 5.
Yeah, so. But I think they don't want. And then it sells Matacha 3rd string. No,
Matoka's not here. No,
it is.
No, he's at UTSA. Isn't
he? He's not here anymore. But Jakari is the 3rd stringer. They will.
He's the emergency quarterback.
He will play.
He will play if they have.
I think I just answered this, but I think by the time Pimp sees the audio, here's the audio. The comments are on. The comments are not in sync with us talking, but
that's all good.
I address that. They just don't want him. They want him to, as Jazz said, there's a plan for him to work on things, and they don't want to put him in a game.
There's a plan, and we just gotta, let it play out. The truth is, at this point, I'm still trusting this coaching staff to make the right decisions. They've done a great job this year. I think that people need to realize that we're still 6-2, and there was a lot of question marks on a lot of things. And this coaching staff, I think, for the mistake that they have made, have also done a hell of a job this year with this team and developed this team. And you're starting to see it in the young guys. The young guys are absolutely incredible, especially, obviously we've already mentioned Ruben Bain a gazillion times. And I said, someone wrote here and said, name a better defensive end than Ruben Bain in the NCAA right now. He's up there. I don't know if he's the best.
Yeah, there's a few.
But he's up there. There's some guys that are studs right now. So but he's up there with them, and that says a lot. Francis Manoa, of course, is another one that is going to get some accolades. There's some other guys.
The chat has been hijacked and turned into a war zone of stupidity, and you can one guess at who did it.
I don't understand why we're all making fun of the bowl game. I mean, first of all, we're bowl eligible, and we have 4 games left. Yeah. Right now, I mean, we're talking about potentially a really good bowl game if we can win a few more games and can continue to control our destiny in the ACC. It's a possibility that you can make a New Year's Six Bowl. So I think that, right now we just need to focus one game at a time. We've got NC State coming up next week, which we'll talk about later tonight on the podcast. But another good game, an 8:00 game against a top 30 defense in the country is not going to be easy. And so Miami and the offense are going to have to scheme up something really good. And I think that Miami will be okay, but it's a tough environment, 8:00 game, a night game away on the road. It's a tough place to play. I know Vish will be out there at that game, and some of our listeners and watchers will be out there as well. So, but 6-2, hell of a season so far for Miami. Played in some big games, won some big games, and I think right now, it's just a matter of going 1-0 every. As cliche as it sounds, as cliche as it is, you got to go 1-0 every game, every week, and that's all you got to worry about. You can't worry about FSU in 2 weeks. You got to worry about NC State first, then you go to State. Forget about it. That's the way it's got to be. But let's kind of move. Speaking of schedule. The ACC finally came out with who we are going to be playing from 2024 to 2030, I'm pulling it up. It's a little interesting. I'm excited by it. While you get that up, let's talk about Prize Picks real quick. I want to get everybody's take on. I want to get everybody's take on the schedule. On the schedule before we pop it up. But PrizePicks.com is real simple. Make sure you guys log in. PrizePicks.com. Once you log in, you put the code 5 FIVE, and they will match your initial deposit up to $100. It's simple. You choose anywhere between 2 to 5 players. Choose the over/under on their individual categories and win. You can mix and match players from different leagues, different teams. You can go to the NFL, Major League Baseball. You can go to basketball. You can do it all. Formula One racing, college football, of course, is on there. Make sure you check them out. You've got some big payouts up to 25%. 25 times as well your deposit. So make sure you go check them out. Log in. It's PrizePicks.com, code word 5, and they will match your initial deposit up to $100. It's PrizePicks.com. Let's look at this ACC schedule. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk about it for a second. How excited are you to go to the West Coast to go play Cal and Stanford, and then go to the the mid-south, southwest, whatever you want to call it, in Dallas, to play SMU as well, the SMU Hurricanes, as I like to call them. So this is an interesting schedule. It all pops off in 2024 with a home and away. Here's the most exciting part about it all. We brought back the rivalries, the rivalry of Virginia Tech. So Virginia Tech will be on our schedule every year from here on out, at least until 2030. So really excited about bringing Virginia Tech back, and they will be playing at home at Virginia Tech, Florida State, Duke, and Wake Forest next year.
Got Syracuse too, huh?
Yep, they've got Syracuse next year with Louisville, Georgia Tech, and Cal. So they've got some tough road games at Cal all the way in the West Coast, and and then you go up to Syracuse as well. So you've got some tough. But look, Vish, we've spoken about this before. Miami they're at the bottom, right? Like, they have to get on a plane and travel everywhere they go anyways. So we're talking about they got to go on a 5-hour flight to California or whatever it is.
Probably more because it's up North California.
Yeah, it's in Northern Cal. So, 5.5, whatever it is, Miami's being on a plane and traveling anyways. I don't think that's a huge deal for Miami. It's more of a bigger deal when the West Coast teams have to come this way because they don't come this way that often. So,
but even then, everything is so spread out on the West right now. Like, they're used to, like, getting from like the Bay Area to Arizona. It is a lot of distance. Those of us on the East Coast that are used to things being closer together, it's not like that out there.
Right.
So I think that the schools that are annoyed are the Carolina schools that are used to taking we're 9 miles between Duke and Carolina, and another 30 over to NC State, and now they're like, we're flying to where now? For us, this is normal. I will say the schedule maker hates me. I live near a bunch of ACC schools, and I got nothing on these road games. They screwed me. So
it's now you're gonna have to travel to the West Coast.
I'm gonna not think about my personal travel budget of having to fly to California when right now it's just like North Carolina's right here. But also, we don't play North Carolina again until 2026,
right?
Which kind of sucks because I want to get one back at them, but we'll have to wait a couple of years to do that.
We will.
Maybe a conference championship game. So
2025 is nice because you've got Syracuse, Louisville, NC State, and Stanford at home, so you don't have to go to the West Coast in 2025. But your away games are tough as well. You've got Florida State and Virginia Tech now away, with Pitt, who's always tough, and the SMU Hurricanes.
Mustangs.
You go to Dallas as well.
Oh,
yeah, I call them the SMU Hurricanes, but yeah.
I mean, by then, most of those guys have cycled out of the program.
That's true. Yeah.
That's 2 years away. The one thing Melissa called out in the chat, this is how it used to be, and then they redid the ACC scheduling model in the middle of us joining the ACC, and then they offset them. But yeah, when we were in the Big East, we used to play Virginia Tech and FSU on the road 1 year and at home another year, and that's what this is doing. So yeah, next year we host Virginia Tech and Florida State, and 25 we're on the road, and so on. So that'll
should be fun. It should be fun to see how they spread this out and kind of use these non-conference games. Obviously, last year we had too many non-conference games, so they pushed Notre Dame back. So you're going to get
so that Notre Dame game on the road is when now?
I believe it's not 25. Obviously, I think it's either 26 or 27. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that. But I know the Gators. We play away at the Gators.
That's next year, right?
Next year.
Next year it's the Gators, FAMU, Ball State, and I can't remember the other one now.
Do some quick Googling here.
Yeah, I can't remember the other one.
Bethune again?
No, it's FAMU, UF, Ball State, and another one. I can't remember.
Hold on, here I got it. So
USF. Here you go. Thanks, Mel.
Yes.
USF next year. So that's
wow.
That's a decent out of conference schedule.
And that's on the road, USF also.
USF.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this. That's at USF at Florida.
Nice stadium.
Tough. Well, I mean, it kind of offsets Florida State and Virginia Tech at home, right?
Right.
So,
and then at Notre Dame is 26.
26. Okay.
And we're also out South Carolina that year.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Big time out of conference schedules. I like it because I think Miami. Look, at the end of the day, you're going to have to play these tough games anyways. And so I think it's by 2024, 2025, you're going to see this is going to be, one of the top teams in the country. At least I'm hopeful for it. I think the way that we are progressing, you can see that. So I'm really excited to see what happens in 2024 and 2025 moving along. Sage X says now we play Notre Dame 2025
at home.
Yeah, at home though.
We're at in 26. That's what they moved. It was at in 24, and then we're also at Florida and at USF. Good scheduling.
What are you guys most excited? Blue, Vish. What are you guys most excited about now with this 17-team league that we've got?
Is there something to be excited about? You won't be able to play everybody, so it's like being in a different league.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's good to change up. Good markets you're going into, Bay Area, Dallas. I think that's good though. I mean, because you look at the SEC and outside of Nashville, every other place got one horse towns. I mean, Athens, Gainesville, Starkville. So at least in the ACC, you got bigger areas and it's more exposure. So, and our recruiting base is going to be now get more into Texas like it used to be, and then into the West Coast and California. So
yeah,
I think that's an advantage to to Mirabal, to Mario, to the guys who coached with them out in California, because this was in Oregon, because this was kind of a base for them. So they'll rekindle the base starting next year. So that's good. I think that Miami will have a good shot, and especially with the kids they have now from the West Coast, you might be able to land a couple of these guys, especially knowing that, you're going to get a lot of exposure because, there's going to be a lot of in 11:30 games, on the West Coast, and heaven forbid if they have to play a noon game. It's like when I went to UNLV, we were getting up on Sundays and the NFL Today was on, and boom, you're right there. So it's I like it. I like the just the feel of the schedule. So
I like it as well. I think it's just exciting to have some fresh faces. We haven't played Wake Forest in a bit. Syracuse we haven't played in a bit either. And so it's nice to see us, kind of playing some of these different teams a little bit more, and then bringing those three other, those other three schools in. I think it's just good. It's a little bit of a change. It's a little bit of oh my God, yeah, dinner. Let's do it. It's this is our weekly Bring Me Dinner segment here. Oh, thank you. Look at that.
I
Look at that.
wish I had one of those.
Nice little salad here, a little chicken salad. Thank you. All right, I won't show you guys this, but get you all jealous. But the truth is that I think that this schedule is going to just keep it fresh, as I mentioned, and allow us to play some different teams every season and go to some different places, and maybe the fans can kind of travel a little bit as well. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, that the point Blue made about one horse towns versus it's the Bay Area and it's Dallas. So you're getting major markets here. They're easier to travel to. It's talent rich areas you want to get into for recruiting as well. So and like Jazz, like you said, it ironically did both things. It mixes up some of the opponents we're going to play, so even some of the other ACC schools we rarely play. And it also got our rivalry back, which they inexplicably killed. So we only have a 1-year gap of not playing Virginia Tech, which is good, because that was a complete disaster in the previous scheduling. At this point appears they just did not realize Virginia Tech was a rivalry, released the schedule model, and both Virginia Tech and Miami's fans went nuts. Well, after they're done taking care of the basketball schools, they just stop paying attention. Unbelievable. So yeah, I think they got that feedback loud and clear, and then this time they did not make the same mistake.
Blue, let's talk a little bit of recruiting before we get on out of here. One big name that we keep hearing about recently. Now it's out there. He's visited a couple times.
They created a fake trophy to pretend like we had a rivalry with Louisville after they screwed up the schedule. Like, we're done.
That annual thing that ain't annual anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, it's once every 5 years.
Go ahead, Jazz.
Pass the boots back and forth.
It's all good. It's all good. But we've had some pretty good visits recently here with some players, some silent visitors, of course, as well, that have been on campus recently for the games. But one that keeps popping up, and this is a big one, I think, in my eyes, because it does one of two things. It does two things. Excuse me. It's a potential flip from another big school, but the other guy that's committed to that school as well, is another guy that's maybe getting talked about. Getting talked in the ear about a little bit more as well. That's hard, but however, it's going to be hard to flip. However, the guy I'm talking about, it's out there, it's in the open now, so we can talk about it. But Jordan Lyle's been, on campus 3 different visits, 3 different times, and probably more than that. He's a kid, nice sized kid, 6 feet, 6 foot, 180-pound back. Very quick, very shifty, plays for one of the top programs in the country again at St. Thomas. But most importantly, he's committed to Ohio State right now. And he's a kid that a lot of people are continuing to talk about as a potential flip to the Miami Hurricanes. And listen, we're talking about bringing in not only Hellcat, right, and Chris Humphrey-Wheatley, but and Kevin Riley, who's probably the top back in Alabama, one of the top backs in the country as well. But now you're also talking about bringing in another big-time running back in Jordan Lyle. I mean, if you're committed to Ohio State, that's big time to me. Talk to me a little bit about what you've seen out of Jordan Lyle, his game, how it transitions, how it makes sense for him as a potential flip to the Miami Hurricanes. Would you be excited to have a kid like that on board?
Yeah. Oh, no, definitely. Big-time player, hard runner, quick, doesn't go down on the first hit. From his belt buckle to his knees, you can't just hit him there. You'll bounce off. He's just got great hips. He's fluid, sees the field extremely well, catches the ball out of the backfield. Really good young man too. So that only adds to the lure of like you said, one of the best programs in the country. And I got a chance to watch Hellcat on Saturday before I went to the Miami-Virginia game. They played in the morning, and they had him in a position that I think that a lot of people may be surprised, but he comes aboard here. Obviously, he's going to be looked at as a running back, but they had him in the secondary. Interesting. And he was pretty fluid in the secondary. He breaks on the ball extremely well, so shows you a little bit of an option. I mean, nowadays you may get on the field quicker, especially with that list of running backs that Miami has. And I don't think anybody realizes if Citizen comes back healthy, he's a whole different level back. Whole different level back.
Yeah,
I mean, he's one of those guys who go, holy mackerel, where did you get him? Yeah, I watched him. I watched his film in high school, and kid's a different level kid. He's got a gear to him. Yeah, so Miami's got some options, and I think that Jordan definitely, if he makes that move, I think a lot of these kids are learning that the recruiting process is a big sales job. So you're going to be told everything in the world before you get there, and then when you get there, it's stark reality.
Yeah.
I hate to keep bringing up the Brandon Innes name, but Brandon Innes is in Miami, and he's playing this year, and may be one of the best receivers on the group, but goes to a place where you got a for sure early first round pick and a bunch of other kids, and you get lost in the shuffle. And they've already signed 4 for next year. So you gotta really. I think that these kids should understand the recruiting process a little bit better than mom and dad too, because as well as I do is if you go someplace and you just come fresh off that visit to Tennessee or Alabama, you're gonna, oh man, I'm going there because they have every amenity in the world. They take you down the hallway, see all those national championship trophies. Oh, look who decided to come by today. He's got an off week. You got one of the best running backs that we've ever had. So the recruiting process is a big sales job. I just think at the end of the day that these kids want to come to be a part of something that's very special. And I still think that this is such a work in progress. And the reason I was late tonight, I had a talk with a Power 5 head football coach, and he kind of agrees. He says Miami's just a sleeping giant, and he says they had such a terrible roster the last couple of years. It's just taking time just to get depth at different positions. And he said when they do and they return to that depth, and he says you look at who they're recruiting, he definitely feels too that Miami's moving in the right direction. And these recruits are going to understand that to be part of something special, you got to be a big cog in it. You've got to be part of that something special. And you look at like the other day, I mean, you hear you have a running back that gets pushed into the end zone, and he was in a press conference at the end of the game. And he says, I got to thank Jesus for putting me in this spot to be here. I made the right decision. So you hear that.
They expressed, if you hear the whole coaching staff after the game, that's what they kept emphasizing was recruiting. The recruiting is working. The recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
They kept mentioning it. And that's on purpose. If people don't realize it, that is on purpose. They are doing that to send a message to all the kids that want to play here.
Yeah.
Want to play here, or that are committed somewhere else. They're sending a message out there, and
I agree. Imagine how strong Jerry Cohen is. When he popped up on that one play, he threw him into the end zone like a little puppy.
This is after he was the pulling guard on that.
Yeah.
He pulled around, wiped out number 9 on Virginia, just cleared him out of play to open that up.
And then happened to turn around and
see Fletcher kind of stuck at the 4-yard line, just one shove. Everyone's in the end zone.
Oh, everyone went in with him. It's
unbelievable.
But
that's a great effort though to get outside there and continue up the field. He didn't know Fletcher was there, but
no, he didn't.
But he continued up the field anyway because a lot of players, they pull around, they make the block, they stop.
Right.
He kept going up the field, and that's why he was in that position.
Yeah, no doubt.
There are a couple of questions in the chat I want to tie into some recruiting talk. So Anthony's asking about the use of the tight ends. We did bring in a very strong tight end class this year.
Not only that, Elijah Lofton is one of the best tight ends.
Yeah, so are we at all worried about our tight end recruiting and commits, given that we apparently will not throw to the tight end?
I think it's a major problem, and I say that every week because, come on, as you pointed out, they targeted him 3 times. And, with all the kids that they got that came in the last group, and they were really, really good, plus what you have on hand. And Arroyo hasn't even been unwrapped. And I hate to see Arroyo following in the same footsteps as Will Mallory, that he's going to be a better pro than he was in college. I don't want to see that. I want to see the kid, get at least some opportunities. But if you're Minnesota or you're Iowa, you can almost promise these kids that they're going to get 90 targets a year. So that's
Iowa fired their offensive coordinator finally.
Yeah, they did. Brian Frank.
Well, actually, they have an interim AD who had to do it because Kirk Ferentz is not allowed to manage his son because there's anti-nepotism laws in Iowa. So he wasn't allowed to decide whether to fire him or not. So the interim AD had to come in and fire his son off of the staff.
That's great. I think that the issue with the tight end is it's so interesting because you can't blame it on DVD because he had a good rapport with Will Mallory and Brevin Jordan, some of these guys, some of these other guys. He's thrown to a tight end before, and I think that the tight end would be a great gift, a gift read, as you like to say, DJ. I think that's the perfect thing, right? Especially you got a guy like Riley Williams who's a stud. He can catch the ball, man. Arroyo, I don't know what I'm going to get out of Arroyo yet because I haven't seen him enough, but he's all world, right? And even when you see Cam McCormick catch the ball, he makes a couple of plays, man. The only catch that the tight end made this past weekend, it was a 10-yard gain or an 11-yard gain on a little screenplay that or it was actually it was actually his
he checked it down correctly for once.
Right? That was his actually a really good check down, and McCormick got 10 or 11 yards. So I think that I don't know. I think it's a Coach Dawson thing right now. I think he's not incorporating the tight ends as much as he should, but it's also on the quarterback to be able to find him, and toss the ball to him. So
he's struggling to just get the job done without having to do checkdowns.
Exactly.
Well, I mean that the problem with not targeting tight ends might be the solution overall to him forcing the ball into coverage. Like, come off your prime receiver and dump it to the tight end. Get 5-6 yards.
Those tight ends have been open quite a bit. So
and Mr. Overdose is kind of tacking on.
You just got to get tight ends that can stretch. That can play wide, that can play out. Not a traditional tight end position. I mean, you've got the big body tight ends like McCormick that can block, so that's what you're going to use them for. But they're going to have to be versatile enough to play like that.
Well, then where's Jaleel Skinner?
You got Jaleel Skinner too.
He's definitely a flank him out tight end versus a.
He is, but he needs to do all the other things off the field before he can get on the field.
Yeah, I do wonder, the future of our tight end recruiting if we can't prove that we're actually going to throw them the ball because these guys aren't coming here to play offensive line, and that's basically what McCormick is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, because you look at Iowa, for example.
McCormick relishes it, but I don't.
But he's different. He's like, I mean, we joke about him being older, but he's more mature, and at this point, he just wants to be on the field somewhere.
Yeah.
Then the other recruiting question we got from Pimp Down. How does our quarterback situation affect our wide receiver recruiting? Blue, DJ?
Blue, maybe you want to take that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to. I think it's fine.
Yeah, because
recruiting quarterbacks just fine as well. So I think that wide receivers are going to see that.
Yeah.
Well, I would say just if this is about TBD, they don't care. He's not going to be here. So,
he's not going to be here. Yeah, you're right.
So it's more we're talking Emory Williams, Shakari Brown, and.
Well, I think what he's talking about is the play of the quarterback now.
Which I don't think they care.
I don't think it matters.
And also, I will say again, if you're not in this micro Miami bubble, the consensus nationally is Miami has a very good quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
We had Eric McElwain on last week. Check that out on the podcast feed. Jazz and I talked to him, and he was very effusive in his praise for TBD. This is obviously before he did whatever the hell TBD was doing last weekend, but which my 4-year-old niece went to the game. It was one of her, I think it was her second or third game. And she calls all of Miami. She calls when she sees the U, she says, "Go Canes."
There you go.
So she said, why is the Go Canes quarterback keep throwing the ball to the white team? And then later she explained it by saying, maybe the guy on the white team was his cousin, which is as good an explanation as I can think of.
She should be hired immediately.
Which is, I mean, I was like, that can explain that throw that got dropped at the goal line when we were in field goal range to tie the game. I mean, I'll go with the cousin explanation holds up there. But I don't think high school recruits aren't watching games like that, obsessively like we are, and like, oh my God, this guy threw an interception.
Also, if you're a football player, you understand the game more. Then you understand more what's going on, play by play, concepts, the reads, a lot more than me sitting here as a fan watching the game saying you suck. I mean, we get it, we understand it, but at the same time, they see things a little different as well. So you got to take that into account.
And honestly, as a player, you're thinking, hey, I can come in and make an impact. I can help them out. Here's where I fit into the system. You're kind of looking like, where do I fit into this offense and do I fit into this scheme? I think, especially like you guys said, Ty Van Dyke's not going to be here for, these wide receiver recruits. I think they're just looking towards the future.
Yeah, and they'll be fine looking towards the future.
She has hopped on the show before when I think Jazz and I were reporting a Florida State preview one Saturday morning, and she barged in, and my niece and said got involved, and then we got killed, so she's not doing that again. And then I guess he clarified here,
I think it'll be fine.
No, we'll be good.
Well, I mean, it's Emery, it's Jakari, and it's Judd Anderson right now. So I do think that is a light room if you're a receiver, but I think that's probably less of an issue because everyone already knows someone's coming in and out of the portal. So I mean,
how's that chicken salad there, Jazz?
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm chomping at the bit. I'm just waiting for you guys to tell me I can eat it. Man.
This actually holds up. Maybe he's related to Restrepo. That's why throws or whatever.
All right, fellas.
All right. Good seeing you.
Yeah, make sure you check us out on the podcast as well. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll have an NC State preview out probably tonight. We'll see.
We'll have it. We'll have the NC State preview out soon. But make sure you check us out on Twitter as well at 6 Rings Canes. Subscribe, hit the like button here on the YouTube channel as well. It's 5 Rings of Sports. Make sure you subscribe to that channel and follow us on there. But also make sure you download those podcasts. You'll have some exclusive content on there as well. So make sure you check them out.
As well as this show and all of our live YouTube shows. I split them into segments. So if you want to just hear one section of it, like
you can do that also.
Like you're not really interested in the cream, but you want to hear the TBD discussion, that'll be like a separate episode. Although it leaked all over the entire show today, I'll try to keep it into a segment there where we can. I'll try. We're not the most disciplined show. Someone said we don't do show prep, and that guy was probably right. But because when we try to do show prep, it seems to go worse.
Yeah.
But anyway, definitely subscribe to the podcast feed. You'll get these shows chopped up into segments, so you can kind of digest them easier too.
There you go. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys soon again. But make sure you check us out this week. See you guys.
The 6 Ring Canes Show. Yeah. The 6 Ring Canes Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Canes Show. You know.